right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A store robbed hours after an event for students with disabilities.
It was just absolutely devastating.
How the store is now working to support those students and raise more funds.
A weather impact alert overnight into early Friday as dense fog is expected to develop across the area. Why that clearing is causing the problems for early Friday.
Our top story, a 15-year-old shot and killed outside a North City gas station.
We're constantly losing our babies.
Now community leaders and neighbors calling to put an end to the violence.
We just want the crime to stop.
Right now, we're in a weather impact alert. Dense fog is expected to develop across much of the area overnight. Good evening. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with how this incoming fog may lead to problems for some during the morning commute, Scott.
I think that's our big time frame tomorrow, really after 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Dense fog advisory starts at midnight, goes until 9 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to see those areas of dense fog evolve through the overnight hours, and really that visibility comes down less than a quarter of a mile for some areas as we head towards 4, 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're going to need some extra time for that early morning rush hour and definitely using the low beams. What's the key to all of this? Those pesky low clouds off to our south and east, they finally have nudged just east of St. Louis. So everywhere where you see that pink shading, that's a clear sky right now. Fog hasn't formed yet, but we expect it to during the next several hours. We've already gone to 100% relative humidity out here in Chesterfield and most areas to the west. The dense fog advisory expanded into the metro St. Louis area to include the city of St. Louis County, down into Jefferson County, even over to Waterloo and Sparta. You're in this dense fog advisory too. Look at the temperatures down into the 30s west of St. Louis where that clearing took place earlier. With those temperatures down into the 30s and already at 100% relative humidity, especially in the low spots, there's going to be some tricky navigation here, west and southwest, especially of St. Louis early tomorrow morning as those visibilities come down to around a quarter of a mile. It should lift after 9 o'clock. We'll talk more about the weekend in a few minutes.
Tonight, police are still looking for the person who shot and killed a 15-year-old boy nearly 48 hours ago in North St. Louis.
It happened outside a gas station at Riverview and North Broadway in the Baden neighborhood. Some community leaders tell Robert Townsend they'd like to see that gas station shut down. Robert joins us live from St. Louis Police Headquarters.
Hey there, Kelly. You know, the leaders tell me that Speedy gas station is a hot spot for crime and must go. Community activist Precious Jones is outraged after learning another teen has been shot and killed in the St. Louis area.
This is really sad that we're constantly losing our babies at a young age.
Police say around 1:30 Tuesday morning, 15-year-old Jamar Hamilton from Glasgow Village was shot outside the Speedy gas station in Baden. Officers went there and found Hamilton dead in the parking lot. They say the teen was with a group of people when they exchanged gunfire with occupants of another vehicle. The boy was the 16th shot in Baden so far this year.
I think it should be shut down.
Precious Jones says for years the gas station has attracted violence and other problems for this neighborhood.
It's always a lot of bad traffic there. You know, you see stolen cars there, people with guns.
13th Ward Alderwoman Pam Boyd calls the business a neighborhood nuisance. Boyd says the gas station, situated at the intersection of Broadway and Riverview, has been the location of multiple homicides and has recorded a total of 49 calls for service in the past year alone. She too wants it permanently closed. But across the street at this family-run tire shop,
The will start a problem right there.
Emmanuel Zoe says gun-carrying criminals and drug dealers often cause the violence at the gas station and give the business a bad name.
It's not the person that running the business, it's actually the customers that come there and don't know how to act. We just want the crime to stop.
My greatest fear is that this is going to continue to be the gateway of crime.
Now, so far this year, more than 60 teens, 17 years old or younger, have been shot in the city of St. Louis. If you know anything about Hamilton's murder, call Crime Stoppers. And remember, you can remain anonymous and possibly even receive a reward. We're live downtown. I'm Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Within the last hour, we're learning of a police pursuit ending in a car crash in Bridgeton. Around 7 p.m., police say officers were near New Florissant Road and Interstate 270 when they spotted a car taken in an armed carjacking. They tried to stop that car. The driver, though, sped off and later crashed into a utility pole near St. Charles Rock Road. Right now, that driver was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries.
Right now, police are investigating a deadly shooting in Lee May. Police say it happened near Regina and Horn Avenues around 5 today. Officers found a man in his late teens dead from a gunshot wound. If you have any information, you can call the anonymous Crime Stopper hotline, 866-371-TIPS.
Tonight, another lawsuit is filed against a former Florissant police officer accused of stealing private photos and videos from multiple victims during traffic stops. Julian Alcala already faces a federal indictment on 20 misdemeanor charges and 1 felony for deleting evidence. The lawyer for the first victim says Alcala allegedly asked for her phone to check her insurance during a stop, then from her phone sent himself a private video of the victim and her boyfriend. He then deleted the text.
Nobody ever thinks that something like this, something this outrageous is going to happen, that when we put law enforcement into the streets, they're supposed to protect and serve.
The Florissant Police Department released a statement yesterday saying they are disgusted by the behavior and didn't know Alcala was doing anything illegal or inappropriate.
Tonight, a criminal investigation at a Brentwood store that supports students with special needs.
Someone came in after hours making off with cash that provides scholarships for children attending the Miriam School in Webster Groves and Olivet. As 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon reports, police are investigating if the thief has a connection to the store.
It's a shopper's delight off Hanley Road in Strassner in Brentwood.
We have tons of home decor, jewelry, costume jewelry, fine jewelry, all kinds of art.
Welcome to the Switching Post.
Our bread and butter is furniture, upscale furniture.
Everything here is donated and priced to sell. Saturday, workers had just finished their annual holiday extravaganza.
It's kind of an unveiling of the whole shop turning into holiday land.
That's when they got a call. Someone got inside the place once it was all locked up for the night, making off with cash.
I'm really kind of angry.
Especially because the store exists to provide scholarships for students to attend the Miriam School.
These are kids who learn differently, so kids who have autism, learning disabilities, school anxiety.
The private school provides specialized instruction for students from kindergarten through high school.
It directly affects kids who need it, but also all the people that work so hard to make this happen.
Police have identified a person of interest and believe the crook knew where to go and when. Surveillance video helped them build their case.
Staff and the volunteers, we all count our pennies and compete for sales to try to provide the financial aid for the kids at Miriam. But more than that, it was like just such a betrayal of the community that we have here, because we haven't had anything like this before.
Now the store is fundraising and calling on donations to recoup what the holiday Grinch stole.
And these are kids who wouldn't be able to go to Miriam without this support.
Brent Solomon, 5 on Your Side.
From Friday through Sunday, the Switching Post will offer 10% off all merchandise in an effort to replace the stolen scholarship money. And you can stop by or even donate online. You can find more information when you look for this story on KSDK.com.
Right now, more than a dozen Rockwood Summit High School students and parents are dealing with an E. coli outbreak. The St. Louis County Health Department says there are 19 confirmed cases linked to the high school. Rockwood Summit underwent an intense deep cleaning last night. Health Department officials are working to find the source of the illness.
Tonight, the Parkway Board of Education has canceled plans for an early childhood center in Manchester. Residents approved the $26 million construction project back in 2022 before a site was picked. However, after the board chose to build it next to Southwest Middle School, people voiced concerns over traffic. Right now, the board is exploring other sites for the center. Today, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker toured a new innovation center in Alton.
The builders and supporters hope it will boost the economy for the entire region. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barcheski has the latest details on this multi-million-dollar development. Laura.
Mike and Kelly, this new development is actually going in one of Alton's old iconic buildings. The creators hope it will help drive research, new technology, and support entrepreneurs.
The Wedge Innovation Center is a 55,000 square foot facility that will be the new home for the Midwest AI Network, Southern Illinois University of Edwardsville educational programs, tech startups, and local entrepreneurs.
We couldn't do this without the help of the state and the federal government. So the legislatures, the city of Alton, the state of Illinois have all been great, and we've truly melded these dollars and I think maximized it, and Emily's going to showcase it.
Alton residents are already very familiar with the Innovation Center's new home.
One of our responsibilities in working with historic buildings is to preserve what is important to the community, which we're doing.
The new center will be inside what was once Wedge Bank, constructed in 1904 and has a similar shape to New York's Flatiron Building. It's now connected to the Elfkin Building, constructed in 1868.
And the top 2 floors will be part of the Wedge Innovation Center. We have attached it to the building next door on the upper levels. So the Elfkin Building, 3 levels there, 2, 3, and 4 were connected. So that entire sort of upper levels will be functioning as the Innovation Center.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker toured the facility on Thursday and says he's seen centers like this really build up communities.
Having been involved with a lot of entrepreneurs over the course of my business career, the resources that a major university, and a very successful one at that, can bring to the table means that there will be economic success.
The first floor will have a restaurant and retail space. The second, third, and fourth floors will have offices, conference rooms, co-working space, research labs, and more.
And small businesses, startup businesses, are the progenitor of most of the growth that exists all across the nation. So the more we can do it in Illinois, and especially here, the better off we all are.
The Wedge is scheduled to open this winter.
Questions in Congress. Senators raise concerns over President-elect Trump's pick for Attorney General. Their demands before they put it to a vote. Medical misconduct in prisons, putting Missouri in a legal battle.
It's getting worse every day.
Our I-Team finds out what it's costing taxpayers.
A weather impact alert continues overnight into early tomorrow morning. Our early morning commute may have some dense fog, which means it's going to take a little longer to get where you need to be. When that fog lifts, and what the weekend looks like in 7 minutes.
Senators on both sides of the aisle are weighing in on President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Attorney General, former Florida Representative Matt Gaetz.
Senators are calling for the House Ethics Committee to release information from their investigation into Gaetz. The group was investigating him for alleged sex trafficking and sexual misconduct. Officials stopped their investigation after he resigned from his House seat. Local leaders say the committee's findings may or may not sway their vote.
That is our constitutional responsibility. If for some reason this House Ethics Committee report is concealed from the American people, it raises a serious question about this nomination.
My number one concern with that agency is, does whoever's appointed to lead it, it looks like it's going to be him, do they have a plan to get the DOJ focused on crime again and actually prosecuting criminals and not knocking on the door of pro-life demonstrators and parents at school board meetings?
The Ethics Committee canceled a meeting to discuss releasing their findings just hours ago. Gaetz has denied any wrongdoing.
Tonight, our I-Team investigates the Missouri Department of Corrections, where prison reform advocates say a lack of independent oversight has led to misconduct and millions of taxpayer dollars spent on lawsuits.
The I-Team's Paula Vassan takes you inside a system many are calling broken. And a warning, some of what you're about to see may be difficult to watch.
This video shows the final moments of 38-year-old Othel Moore's life. His family says he died alone in a Missouri prison, neglected when he needed urgent medical care. It hits close to home for Tempest Williams.
It's ridiculous.
Her boyfriend is incarcerated for a probation violation, and she worries his basic medical needs are being ignored. She says he recently begged for oral surgery at a St. Louis County prison.
He said, wisdom tooth causing extreme pain. And clearly you can see they didn't put nothing on him.
Instead, she says he was written up and put on lockdown. When she finally saw him, she could feel his anguish.
I'd never seen my man cry. He had tears coming down his eyes, excruciating pain.
This kind of suffering isn't just affecting people behind bars. It's costing Missouri taxpayers millions. Since 2020, data shows Missouri's Department of Corrections has paid out $68 million in lawsuit settlements. Those lawsuits, filed by contractors, inmates, and former staff, alleging everything from employer misconduct to abuse. To dig deeper, the I-Team interviewed prison reform advocates across the state. Among them, Mallory Rush with the nonprofit Empower Missouri.
What I don't want my taxpayer dollars to be used for are paying out lawsuits to DOC staff because the department does not have appropriate controls in place to prevent abuses in their facilities.
Others, like Lori Curry, say the data we're exposing reveals a system failing from within.
It's getting worse every day.
What are the changes that need to be made?
We are really pushing for legislation that would implement an independent department in the state.
In 21 other states, including Illinois, advocates say independent agencies that inspect facilities and respond to complaints have reduced abuse and saved taxpayer dollars. A corrections spokesperson declined an on-camera interview, but said in an email that the department is constantly making improvements, citing new body scanners to block dangerous contraband. They added, the narrative that people in Missouri prisons don't get adequate health care or are more likely to die is simply false. But many argue that the facts tell a different story. Inside Missouri's prisons, about 12 people die every month,
which is the highest we've ever seen, and it just continues to rise.
Why is it getting worse?
You've got 2 nurses working a facility with 2,000 individuals, and people aren't getting necessary medications like mental health meds, cardiac meds, epilepsy medications, things like that.
A corrections spokesperson says the prison death rate is actually lower than the rest of the state, with most deaths attributed to natural causes. But people like Williams want more oversight and transparency from the Department of Corrections.
I feel like they got power and they take advantage of it.
Prison reform advocates argue that an independent watchdog could prevent abuse and reduce taxpayer-funded settlements by enforcing accountability. It's now up to Missouri lawmakers to determine if that oversight is necessary. For the I-Team, Paula Vasan, 5 on your side.
We are in a weather impact alert. A dense fog advisory has been extended for our area. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us with more on this.
You know, we talked about this earlier this evening, that if that clearing line advanced into St. Louis or a little farther to the east, that maybe that dense fog would also expand. While it hasn't developed yet, we see temperatures and high relative humidity right now to the west. Temperatures down into the 30s. So from midnight until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, we do have that dense fog advisory. Areas of dense fog will be developing. Initially, it will be west of St. Louis. But notice even in Forest Park now, we're down to 44 degrees. While over at Mascoutah, it's still 51. Alton still has the clouds around 50, but Washington and Pacific down to 39. We've seen dew point temperatures and the actual air temperature come together, which means the relative humidity is at 100% just to our west. So we're right at the cusp of seeing fog developing here as we've seen those skies clear out. That back edge of the clouds just across the river into Illinois right now. It's almost over to Highland, not quite. And then southeast, you've had some clearing from Waterloo down towards Sparta. So those areas also included now in the dense fog advisory. All of our Missouri counties plus Monroe and Randolph County in Illinois. Right now in St. Louis, it's chilly and it's going to get colder. Look at our dew point at 41. I know, Frank, you love the dew point. 41 right now, 46. So our relative humidity is 83%. Those numbers come together as we head into the overnight hours, and that will yield the areas of fog more likely to be thicker going west and south of St. Louis as we head towards tomorrow morning. If you commute up from Farmington, Valley Mines coming up 67, you may have a slow go at times tomorrow morning as that fog could be locally thick. Now, it should break up during the morning hours, and then we get into a pretty decent afternoon. Temperatures going back into the 50s and 60s for this upcoming weekend. It looks like we're in the 60s on Saturday, close to 70 on Sunday. There will be more cloud cover, but you know, temperatures like this, rare and more rare as we get towards Thanksgiving here, which is 2 weeks from today and into December. There's still some color out there, although a lot of the leaves have dropped, but it's mainly dry this weekend, and here's why. The focus is out to the west of St. Louis as we head into Sunday night and Monday. That means, yes, it's wet across parts of Kansas into Oklahoma, into Texas, maybe even some stronger storms there, but initially that pretty much stays to our west until later in the day on Monday, into Monday night, early on Tuesday. That's when we will bring in better chances for rain, also some gusty winds. We'll also allow much colder temperatures to arrive for the end of next week. So our weather impact alert for tomorrow morning's rush, especially as you're going out to the west and down to the south of St. Louis. That's where the most likely areas to see the thickest, most widespread fog will be. But once it lifts, it looks like it's pretty decent going into the weekend. And don't get used to temperatures around 70. That's going to be a rare thing going forward.
We're going into the 40s later next week. All right, Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Mike, we have it all tonight. The Blues, the basketball Tigers, a big NFL game. Dan Rolfes is back coaching, a Billiken basketball player's in love, and a Cardinal got a big-time award. We'll be right back.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
With the Blues, it's the small steps that matter. They ended a 3-game pointless streak. That's the good news. The bad is they still lost the game in Buffalo. Another game and another injury. P.O. Joseph with a lower body issue. He did not return. 2-1 Sabres in the second. Pavel Buchnevich with a howitzer. We have a 2-2 game. Brandon Saad came into the game with 2 goals. He had 2 tonight. His second gave the Blues a 3-2 lead. The game went to overtime with the Sabres having a 4-on-3, and Rasmus Dahlin makes them pay. Buffalo wins 4-3. Ryan Helsley has been named the National League Reliever of the Year, and why not? He converted a Major League best 49 saves on 53 chances. That save percentage of 92.5 was also best in Major League Baseball. He has 1 year left on his contract. It will be interesting to see if the Cardinals try to move this valuable asset. Mizzou and Dennis Gates hosting Mississippi Valley State, and they came out flying. The ball doesn't touch the floor. Honor Boateng with the layup right there. On defense, they were saying, get the weak stuff out of there. And they were draining the threes. Tamar Bates here. Their 111-39 win ties a program record for largest margin of victory, 72 points. Thursday night football, the Commanders and Eagles. And Saquon Barkley is the best Barkley to come to Philly since Charles. This sensational touchdown run in the fourth allowed the Eagles to beat Washington 26-18. In the meantime, the basketball Billikens will host Loyola Marymount on Saturday night. Their assistant coach is former Billiken head coach Lorenzo Romar, and their star player is Javon Porter, the younger brother of Michael Porter. Speaking of siblings, I want you to take a look at Billiken sophomore guard Josiah Dotzler. He is the 13th of 14 children. Wonderful young man who has a nonprofit to help out inner cities. Josiah had an eventful offseason. First, he transferred from Creighton to SLU, and then on June 1st, he married the love of his life, Tihani Smith. It's kind of rare for college basketball players to be married, but he was in love.
My dad has always talked to me growing up, like, when you know, you know. And I didn't really date around a lot. I kind of was really specific with who I talked to and who I kind of interacted with. And when I met her, she had just moved back from Japan. She lived there for most of her life. And when I met her, it was just an instant click. I felt like God had brought us together. And I kept exploring it and talking to my parents about it. And they were a real big advocate on, I think she's the one for you. And I definitely felt that in my heart.
Don't forget about the SLU soccer women. They will host Kansas on Friday night in the first round of the NCAA tourney. The squad, who has won 7 straight conference tourneys, has just 1 loss in 21 games. The miracle man, Dan Rolfes, hasn't lost a game in 4 years. He almost lost his life last March. The Incarnate Word Academy coach suffered a massive heart attack after a win in the state semifinals. He barely had a heartbeat for over an hour. The Red Knights have been busy at practice all week preparing for their first game in Columbia against Father Tolton on December 3rd. When you observe practice, he doesn't look like a man who almost died. He looks like a coach who simply wants to extend that incredible win streak at 131 and win another state title.
I didn't know what was going to happen, and obviously being back in the gym and being back coaching.
Oh, apparently
we're gonna hear the end of that, apparently.
Yes, but I'll just say this, is he's heard from like every big-time coach in America, from Hall of Fame broadcasters and from CFOs saying, we're with you all the way, Dan.
It really is a miracle story that he survived, and now he's back on the court.
A miracle. Doing what he loves.
Yep.
All right, still to come, a grisly scene, not exactly what it seems. The insurance scam, not smarter than the average bear.
Okay, this insurance fraud case is almost too much to bear. 4 people in California turned this video into their insurance company, claiming a bear got into their cars and damaged the inside. However, it turns out one of them was the bear. Police found a full bear costume and metal claws after searching one of their homes. And officers arrested all 4.
We went through all of that.
All of that for a little insurance fraud.
Goodness. We are going to be seeing some dense fog,
Yes,
right?
we are. They're in very bad trouble.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right, so here's the deal. The fog is just starting to form. This is a live look from our weather camera out in Chesterfield, looking down Clarkson. In the valley, the visibility just dropped to about 3 miles. You can kind of see it starting to form there. So over the next few hours, especially west and south of St. Louis, now that skies have cleared, midnight until 9 a.m., we have the dense fog advisory. It does include the metro area with areas of dense fog. Likely, you're going to need a little extra time out the door tomorrow morning. Slow down, take it slow tomorrow morning, give yourself some time.
Those are the bare necessities. There you have it, 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+.
Have a great evening.